Thank you so much, everyone, for signing on today for this info session. My name is Mandy Sutton. I'm a senior program officer at VentureWell working on global programs. I am really excited to meet all of you today and to hopefully get a chance to answer any questions that you have. I will ask that everyone save questions to the end. I'm going to go through a lot of information, so it's very likely that your question will be answered during the presentation. And then if it's not, we will go ahead and do our best to answer it at the end. All right, so let's get started. Well, let's see, there we go. All right, so today we're going to cover, like I said, a lot of items related to this program. I'm going to go over in general, what is GIST, what is VentureWell, why are we doing this, what is the program, timeline, why you might want to participate. Actually, can I just get a quick audible? I got a weird pop-up. Can Jesse or Genesis, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so we will go over why you want to participate, a little bit more information about past incubators, what's included, your eligibility, and then information, of course, about the application. So let's get going. So first of all, what is GIST? So GIST stands for Global Innovation Through Science and Technology. We are a program funded by the US State Department and implemented by VentureWell, which I'll tell you a little bit more about VentureWell in a minute. We offer all sorts of support for science and tech entrepreneurs around the world. So we do virtual programs and in-country programs, depending on the needs of the ecosystem and what's going on with COVID, to be blunt. So, but we do all sorts of things from 1-hour events to 10-week events to now a 6-month business incubation program. We provide training, funding, and networking opportunities, amongst other things. We are in there are more than 130 GIST eligible countries, including Ukraine. And you can always find out more about us at gistnetwork.org. And just real quick, what is VentureWell? VentureWell is my employer, so if you email me, you're emailing a VentureWell email address. We're a US-based nonprofit that supports entrepreneurship education, lab to market efforts, and then we also foster collaboration amongst all parts of the entrepreneurship ecosystem. We are the implementer of GIST programming, most of it at least. And you can always find out more about VentureWell on our website, www.venturewell.org. So let's talk about GIST in Ukraine. So GIST has been working in Ukraine since at least 2016. I was trying to remember this morning. We have done a variety of activities in Ukraine or with Ukrainian entrepreneurs. So we have done 2 rounds of GIST Innovates, which is a 10-week long program designed to be in person in Ukraine. They were both virtual due to COVID. Unfortunately, the first one was supposed to launch in, I believe, April 2020. And as we all remember, that was not great timing. So we have done two rounds of intensive training for entrepreneurs in Ukraine through our GIST Innovates program. We have supported investors through investor training. We are always trying to strengthen investment networks, as that is one of the most helpful things for an entrepreneurship ecosystem and entrepreneurs. So we have done that in Ukraine. We are currently supporting Ukrainian innovators in a variety of different entrepreneurship events, some around the world. So we're supporting travel grants for Ukrainian innovators to get to, for example, CES in Las Vegas. The gentleman on the left side of the screen, that's their booth at CES. We're doing that. We're doing pitch events, all sorts of different kind of one-off entrepreneurship event support. We have innovation hubs. These are small meetup groups that we fund. We have quite a few in Ukraine, some of which are doing virtual programming right now. I believe some are doing in-person programming. And then we also, way back in 2016, as I said, our first thing in Ukraine was we did a series of masterclasses. These are one-day programs where we bring in a expert in a topic to teach entrepreneurs who would be interested in a country. So we have been supporting entrepreneurship in Ukraine for 7 years now. So quite, or no, 6 years, for quite a while. And I want to make it clear that we are very devoted to continuing our support of entrepreneurship in Ukraine and Ukrainian entrepreneurs widely, wherever they may be. So with no further ado, that is why we are doing this GIST Business Incubation program. So this will be the second time we run this program. The first cohort you can see in this picture. The first cohort was open to folks around the world. We had people from all over the place. This one is designed specifically for Ukrainian entrepreneurs. So let's get into the little bit of the basics about it. This is going to be a 6-month-long program. This is the longest program, I believe, that we have ever run. So that's very exciting. It's going to give folks a long chance to be working on their business here in the States. It is open to, we have slots for 15 Ukrainian startups. Ukrainian innovators will be hosted at incubators across the US. So you will be there for the whole 6 months. There is a trip to Washington, D.C. as part of the program, and that's a chance for you to meet any kind of folks that you might want to in DC, as well as do some pitching for groups that we'll bring together. It's a good chance if you have any interest in potentially any kind of governmental part to your company. That is something that we will be providing as part of this program. So one of the first questions probably is like, that sounds great. When is this happening? So this is a general timeline. I want to be clear and upfront with all of you that this could change. We are getting things tightened down. This is certainly a moving situation, but this is a general idea. So right now, if you go on gistnetwork.org, you will see our application is open. It's open through August 4th. After that, we will be doing all the things that we always do for these programs, right? So reviewing applications. Once the applications are reviewed, we will be interviewing a selection of them, and then from there, selecting our final 15 entrepreneurs. In September, we'll be doing visa and travel booking. And then you'll see here, it's very general, kind of like this late September, early October for arrivals. That's because we understand that visas can come very quickly, they can come very slowly. It just depends on what's going on. So we are going to basically be bringing folks over, hopefully in groups. We don't want individuals be coming over on their own, but hopefully in groups we'll be bringing folks over. And when you come over depends on when you get your visa, how quickly that process works. So we will be flexible about that. Our incubators have already been warned, or the ones that we're talking to at the moment have been warned about this. So everyone knows that it's a bit of a moving thing. So we will be bringing you over in late September, early October. And then the program will run for 6 months. So if you get there in September, that's to March, October, April. So you will be here for a full 6 months. So why participate? So as I said, this is a good long program. So it gives you a lot of chance to really get a foot into the US market and make some very good professional connections for your startup, right? 6 months is it's a decent amount of time in startup world. So that is one of the main reasons to participate. You'll receive lots of resources and programming from your individual incubator, personalized mentorship, of course, a chance to build the business side of your startup, which is particularly helpful for some of our more like engineering minded folks out there. It's a chance to really get into the business stuff. And then of course, discover a product market fit for your innovation. That is something that we teach a lot. We teach lean entrepreneurship, which is all about product market fit, finding the customer for what you are offering, as that is one of the areas that if you don't have that, you don't have a business because no one will buy what you have. So that's something that we always focus on with all of our programs. So the incubators, this is where I break hearts a little bit and tell you that I can't tell you which incubators we have. Hopefully we will be announcing those very, very shortly. We are just crossing T's and dotting I's at this point and figuring out, getting everything signed. But I can tell you that all of our incubators are chosen for their tight-knit entrepreneurial ecosystems. One thing I can say is that I often get asked, like, will I be in Silicon Valley? The answer is no. We do not place any entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. The reason for that is Silicon Valley, as well as some of the other really, really big like entrepreneurial places, are not good places for people just getting their start in the American ecosystem. There are a lot of great entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. There are a lot of bad entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. There's a lot of middling entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. Basically, there's just a lot of entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. So actually like meeting the people to help you make the connections, there's just too much noise there. It's tough. So we try to put you in thriving entrepreneurial ecosystems that are a little bit smaller, a little bit more personalized, so you can actually make the connections that you need to make, and that they are actually very actively interested in helping you instead of you just being a face in the thousands of faces they see of, entrepreneurs. So I just want to say that because I always get asked about Silicon Valley. But just so you know, so yeah, all the incubators have their own entrepreneurial ecosystems going on. They all offer a variety of services. So we have everything from like citywide events that they sponsor. We have, all sorts of labs that they have, personalized mentorship. They do everything. And then we will place you based on both as much as we can, we will place you based on your sector and specific needs. If you come in, for example, and you're like, to get to the next level with my startup, I really need a wet lab, we are going to do our best to make sure that you have that. We will also look at the cities and say, okay, this is a health tech startup, what would make sense in terms of the going on in the city, right? So we will do our best to make a good match for you with your sector in mind. So past incubators have included, for example, the University of Arizona Center for Innovation in Tucson, Arizona, Arizona State University's incubator, and IMHub in Chicago. Here are a few of our former participants. On the left, we have participants they were in Phoenix, in Arizona State University, and they are with Steve Wozniak, Wozniak, what is his first name? Well, the Woz. He is one of the founders of Apple and was doing an event in the area. So the incubator got them to actually meet him, which was super cool. In the middle, we have a participant from Armenia. She is at IMHub in Chicago. They have a super cool space. And then on the right, we have some folks outside the incubator, I will say, but going on a hike in the Tucson area. That place is gorgeous in terms of natural beauty. So this is to show you also get some time outside the incubator. We want you working really hard, but if you're here for 6 months, you get a chance to actually see some stuff too. So what is included? This is a J1 visa program. We will support you in getting that visa. The program pays for incubator, travel to and from the States, travel to and from DC during the program, housing, including utilities. So that includes electricity, water, internet, utilities, and then a monthly stipend for food, transportation, etc. The monthly stipend is definitely a livable stipend. If you find yourself really wanting to shop a lot, live on an Elon Musk budget, it's not going to support you there, but it will support you in just kind of having you'll be fine as long as you are, generally watching your money. All right, and then we are kind of getting close to the end. So applicant eligibility, this is open to Ukrainian citizens who are 18 to 40 years old. One thing, you do not need to be currently living in Ukraine. You do have to be, as I said, a citizen with a Ukrainian passport, but you can be anywhere in the world. One important thing, and I get asked this a lot, only one person per startup. We unfortunately we're trying to support fortunately, we are trying to support as many startups as possible. So we are going to ask for one from each of the 15 startups that we select. And no dependents. This is a program where only you as an individual will be coming. One thing eligible, you do have to be eligible to receive a visa. It's okay, if you're going through the process and then you get denied, we're not going to be how did you know that you weren't going to get a visa? Just if you know that you can't, for whatever reason, receive a visa in the United States, please don't apply because you wouldn't be eligible. For the J1 visa, you do have to be required to speak English at a fairly high level. This program will not have translation. You'll be working with folks who I also do not speak Ukrainian. So you have to be able to speak English at a fairly high level. I would say is if you understand me right now, you speak English at a fairly high level because I'm speaking at completely my normal speed. If you would rank yourself as speaking English well or very well, that is kind of the level that we'd want you at. And then of course you have to be able to make decisions on behalf of your startup. We have had folks in the past talk about oh, well, I want to send my marketing associate. And it's okay, but can your marketing associate make decisions that are huge for your startup? It depends. But so anyone who does this program, you have to be able to make big decisions. For the startup itself, so not just the applicant, the startup needs to be at what we would call startup stage, not idea stage. You need to have some kind of proof of partnerships, revenue, customers, you need to have some kind of traction already. That will put you in the best place to actually be incubated. Idea stage companies, we have a lot of programs for idea stage companies, and we would encourage you to look into those on our website. But this, unfortunately, business incubation is one for startups that are a little bit further along. You do have to be science and tech. We are pretty broad in our definition of science and tech. For example, we do include agriculture, but it does need to be some kind of science and tech. It can't just be, well, for example, the next one, it can't be a nonprofit or a reseller. Nonprofits, I love nonprofits. I've worked at nonprofits my entire career, but unfortunately, these programs are for for-profit businesses. And then resellers, this is something we see sometimes, oh my goodness, sorry, my whole computer just froze. Let me just bring it back, sorry. Wow, where did it go? There it is. Am I back? Jesse or Genesis, can you give me a...
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Gotcha.
Weird. Okay. So resellers, we sometimes get folks saying, I am a science and tech startup because I fix and resell computers. That we consider that retail, not science and tech. So that would not be applicable for this program. And then this is like my biggest hint. And like, this is like, aren't you glad you came to the info session? Because I'm going to give you a hint about the application. One of the best things you can do for your application is have a specific plan for why you and your startup should be incubated in the United States versus anywhere else. There's a part in the application, I don't remember exactly what it says, but it says something about like, what would you get from this experience in the US? Why do you want to come? And the answers that I sometimes get will be like, I want mentorship. Okay, you can get mentorship in France, you can get mentorship in Mexico, like why the United States? Okay, so like that is one thing I will say here. The other thing that's really helpful for us and makes a really strong application is if someone says, oh, I want to partner with American businesses. Okay, that says why you want to be in the US, but but what would make it stronger is if you said, I want to partner with American businesses in my sector, like, and then you list actual businesses that you have done the research and you have looked into and seen that these might be possibilities for you to make connections. That, if I see an application like that, I'm like, oh, this is a strong application from a strong applicant who understands what is important for their business and what they could get out of this program. That's way better than, like I said, oh, I want to come for partnerships. Oh, I want to come for mentorship. It's just too general. So that is my biggest hint to all of you. When you're doing your application, that is what makes a strong application, is a really good specific plan. Lastly, we do have a little bit more eligibility criteria. You can see it on gistnetwork.org. This was the highlights, but please do read the full eligibility criteria before applying. And then lastly, the application. It's on our website. I've sent this URL a few times now, gistnetwork.org. It's open until Thursday, the 4th of August. There is an FAQ. I've probably hit on most of the FAQ at this point in this presentation, but if you want to read, please do read it if you have any questions. But that being said, we are going to open the floor to questions. We have 10 minutes, and unfortunately I am going to hold it to that 10 minutes. But if you find that you have a question you want to reach out to me directly, totally fine. You can email me at msutton@venturewell.org. I am always around. But before you do that, we are just going to go ahead and open the floor to questions. If you have any, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see. Feel free to drop them in the chat or to just unmute yourself and let me and tell me what your question is.
Yeah, hello. Thank you for such a great introduction.
Sure.
So obviously I'm a man, and I'm military responsible in Ukraine.
Yeah.
So do you have some answers regarding this, and how can you facilitate me to go abroad, to move to the US for such a long period of time?
That's a great question. That's a really good question. And unfortunately, one I don't have a good answer to. We are not able to, so and Christina Redko, I might ask if you have any idea on this as well, but we are unable to change any kind of policy that Ukraine has in place. It's impossible for us. And, Anyway, so I do know that Christina said, we have a contact named Christina Redco, who I believe is on the phone, and she has said that there are some men who have been able to get longer term visas for if they have a specific reason why they need to leave. I don't know if 6 months is possible though. Christina, do you have any insight on this?
Unfortunately, I do not. Again, that's something we'd need to look into, but I don't think we have an answer for that at this point.
Yeah, you know, we're happy to, and we will look into it more, but this is a problem that had been raised, and like I said, unfortunately, we are also bound to the laws and the situation, you know, in Ukraine. So we will see. And I encourage you to send me an email. Let me actually put my email address in the chat too. Send me an email, and that way I remember to follow up with you directly. Yaroslav, I see a hand.
Yep. Hi, Madip. Thanks for the introduction to the program and your tips. It was really interesting and important. And my question about participating, you already mentioned that only one person can be at the program from the startup. But what if I want to be with my family? Is it possible to take my family and pay for all of them independently for accommodation and something else?
So we will not be sponsoring dependents like on the visa. So that's like the first big hoop that you would have to figure out, but we will not be sponsoring dependents. As I would say, we right now have designed this program just for one. It's very tough for me to say. We could look into it, but I think send me an email. That's what I'm going to say, because I don't. It's going to come down to a lot of different things. Right now, like my logistical mind is like whirring away because there are like housing considerations and whatnot. But the biggest thing is that we will not support visas for family members. But if you send me an email, I can see if there's any kind of wiggle room around that, and I'll just let you know. It would be very difficult. I'll say that. But sorry for not like a happy answer. I feel like I'm coming in here with like bummer answers for everybody, but Gregor, I see a hand.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a question. I read on the website, that you must have a valid active business. So it is not entirely clear to me whether you need to have sales already, or can you only have the first investor, MVP, or something else?
Yeah, so we ask for 3 things, and it's kind of a and/or. You know, you can have funding, revenue, and customers would be revenue, or partnerships. We understand that some businesses might not have customers for a very long time. If you're doing something highly technical, that takes a really long time to get customers. So that's why we ask for one of those proofs of movement. So if you have investment, we would love to see that as proof of a business. I will say we won't just take like, I have $1,000 in my bank account. That's funding, but that's not an example of like a startup actually moving ahead. So, but if you have investment from investors, we would love to see proof of that, as well as any, like I said, any proof of revenue from customers and any proof of official partnerships.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Dimitro.
Hi, thank you for a helpful presentation. I have the question, if there are incubator, one of those that you are selecting on the later stage, shall we cut some piece of equity from our company?
That's a really good question. So we are working with like I said, we don't have full contracts now. We will be certainly trying not to have any equity taking incubators. I don't want to 100% guarantee it at the moment, but I don't think that will be a thing that we will be asking, that the incubator will be asking for. In the past, we've never taken equity of teams.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I see a hand again. What's the name?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to ask it in my previous question. So what if my company have already finished a great European accelerator? Would this fact influence my acceptance to this incubation program?
No, that will not. Especially if it's not in the United States, we would consider this a different opportunity for you, as you would be trying to enter the US market. We totally get that you might have done some program somewhere else. That's totally fine. And I do see a couple of comments from my colleague. He does want me to point out, which is a good point, Jesse, the accommodation that we will be getting will be most likely shared. We would not have you sharing rooms, like sharing bedrooms, but it will most likely be a shared apartment with separate bedrooms. And he says that I can 100% guarantee that no one will be taking equity. He is more confident than I, but no, you're right. Like we are working with these incubators to do our contracts. It's just, you won't be giving up equity. Any other questions? We have 3 minutes. So like your last chance. Oh my gosh.
Hello.
Hello.
Can I ask a question like this? Like, if I have a B1, B2 visa, do I need that J visa?
J1? Now, that is a good question that I do not know the answer for. I will have to put that to my State Department colleagues. They are the visa experts. So Irene, if you send me an email, I can get back to you and let you know. I truly don't know how that would work with State Department.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you.
And I see a question in the chat. How much is the cost of participation? We do not charge anything. We will cover most of the expenses, including accommodation and a living expense. So you will be not expected to pay anything unless you are traveling around a lot or shopping a lot or something like that. So the program is fully funded.
Hi, Mandy. I have a question about, you said to previous guy that if he participated in European Accelerator, it's okay. But if we participated in American Accelerator, would be it a problem?
That's not a problem unless, I should make one exception. If you have participated in this program before, you cannot do it. I don't think we have anyone on the call who has participated in this program before. If you have participated in another American program, what I would say is that in your application, it's important to say what you would get from this program that you have not already gotten from another program in the United States. It's not a, you are not, what's the word? It's not a eligibility requirement that you have not done something in the United States, but we would love to know like why this program in particular, if you already have done a program in the US. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay,
and
great.
Also I have another question about J1 visa. What kind of J1? As I know, there is a J1 for temporary employers, and this one would be a kind of, I don't really understand the reason why J1.
Yeah, so the J1, again, great question for my State Department colleagues, but as I understand, a J1 is generally a visiting scholar visa. This is considered a visiting scholar program as you are there to learn. That is as far, I don't want to get into more specifics because I'm not, as I said, I'm not the visa person, but this is a visiting scholar program.
Thank you.
Sure. So we are at time. And so I just want to, again, thank everyone for coming. I'm going to put my email address in the chat one more time, as I can't type and talk at the same time. Okay, as Genesis said, we are going to put this video on the website. So if you really are bored and want to watch this again, you can. You can also share it with any colleagues you have. We do encourage you to get out the word as much as possible. And we are really, really excited to host Ukrainian innovators in the United States for 6 months. We're really excited about this opportunity. So thank you, everyone. And like I said, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. And go ahead and apply. Get on there and apply. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.